During its run, Veep has won 3 Screen Actors Guild Awards and 17 Emmys. I'm Matt Noble at Gold Derby here with Timothy Simons, who plays presidential contender Jona Ryan, or should I say played presidential contender Jona Ryan in the series, with the show winning Best Comedy Series Emmy for its last 3 outings. Timothy, has Veep made television great again?
What's the right response to that? Television was already great. We just threw our little bit into it.
Yeah, and how it ended this week. How do you feel it closed out your character's arc and the series as a whole?
Well, I'm really happy with the way. I hadn't seen the finale episode until it aired. I'd seen little bits of it. When I was doing ADR, I made them show me the last 5 minutes, basically from the end of the convention on. I made them show me that. I feel like as far as it closing out the show, I feel like it does. And ultimately, I'm a really big fan of the last episode. I think it does a really good job of. I think it stayed true to itself the whole time. We've always been a pretty cynical show, and we've always been a pretty dark show. I think that this year we were more cynical and darker, and I feel like we stayed true to ourselves. We didn't necessarily let anybody off the hook, which is exactly what I didn't want, or what I wouldn't have wanted if that had come up. So I'm happy that it ended up going that way. And also, just as far as like. As pardon me, let me turn off my notifications. As far as the character goes, like as far as Jona goes, I feel like that last scene where he's always been somebody that has been ruled by sort of petty grievances, and he wants to be close to power. Like that to me is like a core pillar of the character. Like all he cares about is proximity to power. And so I like that the last time you see him, he is just trying to get into the president. He's just trying to get in to see the president. That's it. I like that he stayed true to himself the entire time. Like he's vice president. He is the second most powerful position in the world. And he still just wants FaceTime in the White House. That's all he wants. I also do like the fact that the position, even though the premise of the show was, my Lord, I'm so sorry, I don't know how to stop that. I also like that the premise of the show was always how bad the vice president's job, like the job of vice president is. It was always like, this is a useless job. That was the show at the beginning, and we kind of blew that up when she becomes president, becomes more powerful, and runs for president. And I like that was the same at the end too. Like she has that great monologue about being vice president is like being defanged and declawed and buried 2 miles buried under 2 miles of human shit. I like that stayed in there.
Yeah, oh, that's cool. And I guess we also learned at the very end that Jona got impeached as vice president.
He did, which I didn't even know was possible.
Yeah, yeah. I guess, yeah. So I guess you could follow the same impeachment proceedings that you do for a president. Do you have any guesses on what Jona was impeached for?
I mean, basing it off of, I actually did not fill in that blank when I heard about it. I was just like, I'm gonna let people color in their own backstory on that one. But my only guess is that it has something to do, like that maybe his sort of general sexual inappropriate comments in the workplace ultimately caught up with him. But man, I don't know. It could have been any number of things.
Yeah. Well, one thing we know is Selena wouldn't have really gone into bat for him.
No, not at all. She probably was the one that was whispering to senators to do it.
Yeah. And we saw this season Jona run for president. What did you think of the prospect of a Jona Ryan presidency?
Well, I mean, the prospect of a Jonah Ryan presidency is frankly, we don't even need to imagine it. It's kind of what is happening right now. He's a petty narcissist. He's vindictive. He has no particular skills, or he has no particular skills generally, but no particular skill or talent for the job as it is described. But he's loud and he's angry and he says whatever it takes to get elected. He's not a good leader. And so I do feel like that his presidency would look a lot like the one that we have right now, just like unchecked corruption and greed because nobody's minding the store. It would look a lot like that. Like that's what the future would be.
Yeah. Do you reckon Jonah better or worse than Trump?
Exactly. I mean, exactly as bad. I mean, I think like I think you might be able to argue that he'd be better. But that's only because you're watching Jonah on a television show. He's arm distance away. Like if you are in there with him, then no, you wouldn't have the same sort of affinity for Jonah that you might have as like an arm's length distance away television character.
Yeah. We've got what was your final shot that you filmed, or your final scene that you filmed for the show?
The final scene was the one with Amy outside, that one with Sue outside of, so it was also, I think, it was also the last time that I appeared. Oh no, because we have the old age stuff. So it wasn't the last time that I appeared, but that was sort of the way I think that they thought about it. Was all the old age stuff was just coda. But so Jonah's story, like the story of Jonah on this television show, ended in that scene with Sue outside of the Oval Office, and that was the last scene that we shot on that I shot on the last day.
What was it like filming that scene?
It was fun. I mean, like it was like, it ends how it began. It ends how it begins. You do it a bunch of different ways. You're not exactly sure what it is, and there's a lot of discovery in the moment of like little details of who should walk in first, and it's like a little puzzle. You put it all together. Like I was no closer to figuring it out on the first day than I was on the last day, because the last shot was Julia in the Oval Office. That was up next, so a lot of people were there. Like everybody went to set for everybody's last scenes, and when everybody wrapped out, everybody would be there. And so as the day got longer and longer, more and more people started showing up. So there was like a weird pressure that I felt, like even though I know millions of people watched the show, there was a strange pressure of knowing that there were like 150 people in Video Village all watching me in that moment. And I was like, oh God, like, just don't fuck up. I sort of had like a little bit of a weird pressure about that, knowing how many people were just on the other side of the set.
Yeah.
But ultimately it was joyous and fun, and I don't know, everybody cried. It was great.
Do you remember your first scene that you shot for the show?
Oh yeah, no, I guess it kind of works out that like the very last scene that I shot for the show was kind of his last scene, and the very first scene I shot for the show was the very first one, the one where he's sitting in the chair, and he has to deliver that news about the SRVA function that she has to go to. I think it was SRVA, where they're like, Jonah is here from the White House, and you kind of see him through the door. They kind of rack focus to him. So yeah, it kind of bookended that way.
That's sort of nice. And like, I imagine, like, just thinking back to 8 years ago, when you shot that first scene, comparing that to that final scene you shot, I imagine a different kind of pressure. But like, how have you grown in that time?
Yeah, man, I was so nervous on that first day. I mean, like this was the biggest job that I had ever had by a mile, and it was the first time I had ever been cast on a television show in a role of any size. So, and then to be doing it with them, to be doing it with Matt and Tony and Julia, I mean, it was I mean, it was a lot. I was not as nervous on the last day as I was on the first. Like, I definitely felt more confident in the choices that I made, but yeah, I mean, I thought I was getting fired at lunch on my first day. So it didn't happen that way. And man, I'm happy for it.
What are you going to miss most about the show? What do you miss most about the show, I guess?
I know it's weird speaking about it in the past tense. I miss the collaborative spirit of working on scenes together. If something isn't working, figuring it out as a group, like trying to add puzzle pieces, feeling like a collaborative spirit, not only of the ensemble of actors, like if we are in a scene that's been changed a bunch of times, just knowing that we're going to have each other's backs, I will miss that. And then personally, it's kind of the same answer. I'll miss hanging out with those people every fall. Like personally and professionally, it's kind of the same answer. I'm going to miss the ensemble of it.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite ensemble moment or collaborative moment from the series?
You know, there are scenes that I remember, like, I think there's a scene at the end of season 2. I think there's a scene at the end of season 2 where, is that where she says she's gonna run? I think she decides that she's gonna run for president at the end of season 2, and that was in the Eisenhower office. And I think every character was there. It was like 9 people, and there were a bunch of entrances and exits, like big scenes like that. Like that one was one that I remember loving, but also like just this isn't very specific, but like being in the rehearsal room at like 11 a.m. on a Sunday in Baltimore, playing reporters in a pool, trying to ask gotcha questions to Julia to see if anything comes up in scenes that were being built. Like, I'll miss that stuff too,
Yeah, I think that episode where she decides to run away, is that the same one where you're in the marathon where you're all,
that was,
or is that the one before that?
I think the marathon, I think that the running one,
yeah, that might make this.
Was the episode before. And man, that one was, there's a moment that I don't know that it made it, a lot of it made it into the cut, but we kind of go with this idea that like Mike's basically having a heart attack at the end of the run, like because he had to run so much. Everybody's telling him to keep his arms above his heads. It's one of the funniest runs I've ever seen Matt Walsh do, and it was so good. Man, that episode was miserable. It was freezing outside. It was just freezing. But I think the one in the Eisenhower was the end of that episode where everybody was in the office, and I don't know, man, it was great.
Something else that sort of progressed over the course of Veep was the awards that you were able to win, and you got nominated from early years, but you sort of started as that also ran show that got nominated every year but didn't win, and then by the last 3 seasons you've just dominated the Emmys. You won Best Comedy Series every year. I was at the Emmys the first year you guys won, and here's just like a photo of the Veep table at the HBO.
Oh, I know.
Party. What has that awards run been like for you guys?
I mean, it's been like, this goes back to the question you asked before. Like the awards part of it is great. It is really fun. It's been, I mean, like every year that we've been on, we've been able to go, and that's been incredible. You get to put on a tux, and it feels really fancy. Like the best part of it is that it always usually marked that we were also going back to work, and that was sort of the exciting part. Like, you hadn't seen everybody for a while, and you kind of got to kick off the year in this very celebratory way. After, like, we didn't win the first 3 years, and it's fine. Like, it's fine. Like, like as like a fan of television shows, like a show winning an Emmy has not made me like it more than I did. And if a show doesn't win an Emmy, it doesn't make me like it any less. But as far as the experience of like being in the room, whether you win or lose, it's way more fun to win. It's way more fun to do that, to like walk up on stage and give everybody hugs, and then you go backstage and you have to go through all the interviews, and like it's great. It's great. It's generally celebratory either way. We get to, it's sort of a rare thing. Like you win or lose, it's still a pretty rare thing, but it definitely is more fun to win.
Yeah, and I guess this year, win or lose, it'll be great to see everyone again, and it won't be the kicking off work, but it'll be really probably the upcoming awards will be the sort of closing the chapter on Veep.
Yeah. When we won, there was one thing that, like, I think going back to that ensemble thing too, like we won. We had been nominated for SAG Awards, for the SAG Ensemble Award, like I don't think every year, but definitely the last few. Maybe from the second season on, I think we had, and we won for the first time this past year, which was great, which again, really fun. It's way more fun. We always got one thing we always got to do when we lost was we always took a loser picture together as a cast. We always took a loser picture together. So we lost that tradition, which was fun. But that was cool because, like, the work that I'm proud of is the work of the ensemble. And like, it was fun that night to like carry around a thing that was like the physical manifestation of the thing that you were proud of, like the work of the ensemble. So that was cool. Yeah, generally I think more fun to win than this.
Yeah, and I think like particularly Ensemble for you guys, particularly since, as you've said, it is such a collaborative process the show's been, and the way you work on scripts and sort stuff out and things, it seemed like a very fitting award for you guys to finally win.
Yeah, that felt good for sure. And like that also because I don't know how the rules work, but I think it's like you have to appear in more than half of the episodes. That meant that like Nelson Franklin was there, like Nelson Franklin and Backdoll, who have been a part of the show since the first season. Like they also got to be a part of that too, which is great.
Yeah. What's your favorite line? Your favorite Jona line from the show?
My favorite Jona line is, and there are a lot of them, but my favorite one is from Eric Kenward, who's a Saturday Night Live writer who's also on our staff, and he would split time. But he was the one that wrote the line, "I'm eating so much pussy, I'm shitting clit, son." He's the one that wrote that. And I think that is the perfect distillation of that character down into 9 words, especially the fact that he says it in front of a school, like a schoolroom full of elementary school children. And so I feel like that is the perfect 15-second clip of that character.
I think Peter McNichol's reaction is also a great line. Like, just that's my favorite moment of his, I think, in the series too.
Yeah, he calls me a spewing animal. God, he is unbelievable.
Yeah, that scene. He didn't get an Emmy nomination because of that scene.
I know, that's the one. That's the one that put him in like more than half of the episodes. Whatever. Oh my God.
And Tim, do you have a favorite line that you improv'd or got workshopped over the course of the series?
It all blends so much. To the only one that I remember, the only moment that I remember that it was an improvisation on the day that made it in, that I was like, that I really liked. It was when there's and I think because there was a journey of finding the right reaction. There's like a whip pan to Jona when Catherine and in the finale, when Catherine and Marjorie find out, she says, like, I have to talk to my vice president. I have to talk to my vice president. Catherine and Marjorie realize who it's going to be, and it whip pans over to Jona. And it was, I think there were like 5 or 6 different things that we tried. Some were silent, some were just, it's like some were silent, some were physical, some had words to them. But I had been listening to a lot of Notorious B.I.G. like in the lead up, and it just worked out. And like Jona is somebody, like, this goes back to like first and second seasons, that I think that Jona is definitely somebody who feels a kinship. He's somebody who feels a kinship with hip hop and rap moguls. Like, he feels like if they met, like they would understand each other, that he's like he was a scrappy go-getter, even though he like came out of New Hampshire, and his uncle like controls the elderly vote. He's basically been handed everything, but would feel a kinship with somebody who like worked their way up from the bottom. And so so his reaction to that is like the sentence, started from the bottom, now we hear, which is 100% appropriation. And then baka baka baka, which was from the sound of a pistol from a Notorious B.I.G. song that I really like. So I think the fact that was his honest reaction in that moment was to just completely appropriate these two things. That I was pretty happy with, that it stayed in.
Yeah. And final question, Tim, what like is the moment from the series looking back? It can be a shooting thing or a behind it, whatever you want, that you found the funniest moment that you look back on fondly?
Just from the entire run?
Entire run.
Oh man. I think this is one of those things I'd have to go back down and take notes, because I swear to God, it would have to be like character by character, because there are probably 15 things that Kent says alone that could be a rival. And like one that really sticks out. There are two that really stick out from this year, just because this is the one that I have like the most the clearest memories of. But I love the line. I love anytime Selena has a line that just shows how disconnected she is from like any sort of financial reality. There's a bit where in the finale where she talks about like there's like an attempted bombing at an airport, and she's like, that's why everybody should fly private. That's like that. I love that kind of stuff. She also has this like I'm drinking go get me a real green juice, because I'm drinking Odwalla like a country lesbian who just moved to the big city. That's a really good one. But also there was a fantastic moment with Marjorie. I love when the show takes the time to be quiet. It moves so fast. And so moments of silence and moments of stillness are so hard to come by. And there's that one where Selena is trying to get Marjorie to incriminate herself. She's recording their conversation. And Marjorie, being like the stone cold, like CIA killer that she is, they let Clea, who has an unbelievable deadpan, they let Clea deadpan for like 3 or 4 seconds of silence, which is unheard of on her show, and then says, "Are you recording this conversation?" And it is like all of the gears are turning, and she figures out that Selena's trying to set her up, and I've howled with laughter.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Tim, we're speaking with Reed Scott tomorrow. Do you have any good questions to ask him?
I just want to know how he ended up looking so good at the end in those flash forwards. Like, what was his secret?
Yeah. Okay. I'll ask him that tomorrow. Thanks, Tim. And to all of the viewers, you can go to goldderby.com right now and make your predictions to compete against the experts, editors, and other fans to prove if you're the smartest procrastinator in Hollywood. Before you go, you can click the subscribe button on this video so you can get notified of other great chats with celebrity stars. Thanks so much, Tim. It's been so great talking over the years.
My pleasure, man.
Yeah. And we're done. Well,